And so it's Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It is, for those folks that are watching live, you know that it's May of 2021, and it feels like we're just starting to come out of like a cocoon of isolation from COVID. If you're watching this in the future and think back, man, that's where we're at. So as folks are signing on here, Andrew, tell us about where you're coming from.
Yeah, my name is Andrew. I'm the owner operator with my wife of Pedal Java, PEDALJAVA. We're a mobile coffee business out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
And what's the weather like down there in May?
Man, right now it has that sort of early spring humidity that you know is going to be wonderful later this summer. And we got the cicada, however you say it regionally. In the South, we say cicadas, but I understand in Ohio, y'all say cicadas. They're starting to come out of the ground in record numbers. And listen, it's an insect love-making fest in Tennessee right now.
And the music, and I say music because I enjoy hearing the buzz of cicadas, and I bet you that's either coming or already buzzing around out there.
Yeah, it's the blight of the South, my man, and it is a mating call that really rivals no other species, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, Andrew,
Imagine if we use that same sort of mating call strategy with someone we found attractive, and we just sort of like sauntered over in our fresh, wet, brand new wings, and then just screamed at them as loud as we could. I don't know if it would work as well as it does with cicadas, though.
maybe we all have to do that in unison, right?
Mhm. Whoever screams the loudest.
Wins.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that feels kind of Viking, and I like it too. So
Yeah, well, they're really bad down here right now. No joke. I'm sure they're going to come up to Ohio too. This is a whole thing on the east this year. All these cicada bugs coming out in this 17-year bloom.
yeah, yeah. Next week we're interviewing a honey guy, and this guy is known to eat those critters, those cicadas. So we might be checking that out next week.
Well, the fishing is really good during cicada season. And one thing I've found living in East Tennessee is if you're fishing for smallmouth bass or you're fishing for stripies, these fish are really biting right now because they love to see those things land in the water. They can't really fly. They're terrible flyers. And they've just hatched out of this hard, tank-like cocoon. And they land in the water, and the fish are getting fat on them right now. And they're starting to bite on things that don't even look like cicadas. So get your fishing poles out, get your fishing license ready, and y'all can start pulling some fish out of the Tennessee rivers and lakes.
I love that. I love that visual. So I usually start off our conversation with just a question, right? And it is a question that I've come across by watching your content and out on TikTok and seeing some of your photos out even on Facebook. But so here's the question. If for the next year, the next 12 months, you had to stay within the same decade of music, what decade would that be? So, in other words, you'd have to pick, is it the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s? Is it another decade? You have to spend the entire year in one decade. What would that decade be, and why?
Man, that is such a tough question. Such a tough question. And I'm sure you know that my music tastes run the gamut. I don't like organize my records and CDs by genre. They're all just alphabetical. If I want to find John Coltrane, well, he's going to be very near Patsy Cline. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think if I had to pick one decade, I think it would have to be the 1960s. Just because, like, it was a renegade time in music. Things were changing in every genre. people were shaking up the record industry and people were buying records. And it was like a kind of time in music that we haven't experienced in a long time, because it's all about streaming rights and about digital content management and licensing. But back in those days, we went to record stores and we would flip through albums. And the 1960s, I think, would be a great time to relive music. For a whole year, you said?
That's the whole year, and inside that same. Well, you'd have so much fun for a year. You could probably spend a couple years
Easy.
in the '60s. Yeah.
Easy, my man.
Thank you for that. I can completely relate to the '60s music. Being raised with some older brothers. And
how old are you, Roger?
I'll be 54 here in a few months, and I had some older brothers that were 10 and 12 years older than me, so that's what they forced me to listen to, and I loved it.
Yeah.
and it brings back great memories going back there. So
yeah, I just turned 51, and most of mine was browsing my dad's record collection, and he had has a very hip taste in music. So it was everything from like old big band jazz to Motown to progressive rock like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and stuff like that. So it was all over the map, and I learned how to appreciate a little bit of something from every record I listened to.
Well, I think that even folks that are just watching now probably realize that you're you've got creativity just kind of oozing from you, right? And that,
I don't know if it's like that.
Yeah, but and having those creative, I mean, you've got this cool vibe. You've got 60s music. I mean, your responses, the way you answer even just strange questions. Take us back to your early creative days, whatever that means to you. That if you look back and harken back to early creative days, what did that look like for Andrew?
Right. Well, I mean, I was a musician, and my parents started me in music lessons when I was just a little squirt, and just big enough to hold a violin. And they started sending me to the Suzuki music classes, where it was this Japanese curriculum on learning to play stringed instruments. And I went through that. They put me on piano. Then I got to like school band, and I said, I want to play the drums. And they were like, yeah, okay, but you know how to play piano and all this other stuff. Shouldn't you play this xylophone? So I played that for a while, like keyboard percussion. But that took me through college. My BA is in percussion, and I have a music degree. So, I went into software after that, but my early creative days are all around music and about playing music. And all my family play musical instruments, and at holidays we meet and we play together. And we all just appreciate playing music. So that's mostly my creative days. Although, like, I came to appreciate other styles of art, whether that was, dancing or poetry or visual arts or photography. As I was educated more and more at a liberal arts college, I discovered my love for other forms of art as well. But these days, it really comes down to a lot of different things. I mean, we do musical things online. We have great artists who provide labels for our coffee products. And we have to do a lot of digital visual art with both telephones and tablets. And we're very anti-computer at Pedal Java. I'm actually using a computer right now, a laptop computer, but I haven't turned this thing on in months. We are anti-computer at Pedal Java. We do everything right in our hands, right with these little devices.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you lifted this laptop screen and you joined us this Tuesday here and
blow the dust off. No, we have a computer at the warehouse that's used for printing labels and packaging stuff, and it can also get the orders from the website. But that's pretty much the only thing we use computers for these days. And when I got out of the software business, I just became more and more anti-laptop and anti-computer. And I'm very fine with doing everything from a phone. And I think we're going to come to a time where, whether you're a musician, this is a real unpopular opinion, and your viewers, as wonderful as they are, they're going to hate me for this. I honestly think, Roger, one of these days we'll get to a point where phones are used for visual art, music, all kinds of mediums that are producing tangible art that can be enjoyed with your senses. So much of it is going to be done with a phone, and I don't think computers are going to be around for that much longer once that happens. Once the creatives drive the technology for these things to do that stuff, I think we'll really, these things won't just get dusty. They'll get thrown out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I think that you and I share a similar viewpoint, and that is it's the creative, or it's the artist, it's not the tools, right? And our tools are going to change. We'll see the tools shift so quickly over the next 20 years that I would imagine at some point, right, it may not even be a handheld. It may be all voice activated, right? And who knows?
It could be a totally different interface.
Yeah, I am so excited to see that. So you go off to college, right? You got a music degree. You spend your early childhood days jamming out. You find yourself behind a drum kit, probably picking up some girls and getting out of college, and you go into software. So what was that few years look like, and how many years was that?
Well, if you remember, like in the early 90s, there was this tech bubble where there were tech companies just popping up on every corner.
Right.
And they were all like being funded by these venture capitalists out of New York and California, who were throwing millions and millions of dollars into these startup tech companies. Well, these were popping up everywhere, and the demand for software developers was so high. And I had grown up playing with computers. My dad had always had computers in the house. We learned basic programming languages when we were just like single digits years old. And so like it was always natural for me to, and my college job was in the computer lab. So when I got out of college, those were the jobs that were available immediately and paid well. And as a musician, it's hard to make a living. It's hard to feed yourself. And I had been a gigging drummer for 7 years, and I knew how hard that was. And, from that point on, I just kind of buckled down into software. And I worked for the electric utility in North Carolina for 22 years, and kind of started as a junior developer and climbed my way up the ladder until, when I left, I was managing over 30 other developers. Many of them were junior developers, just like when I was starting out. So my wife had a similar background. She's also a tech employee, but she came from the cell phone industry. She worked for the 5th largest cell phone company in the world. I won't name the name of that one, but it was a company that she was very comfortable with and happy with for 15 years. And we both left our technology jobs to sort of chase our passion, which in our case was coffee. But it's different for everybody. And that's what's great about this world, is like everybody can have a different passion. And as long as you're like chasing it and you're happy with your life and your passion, that infects other people. So our coffee is great for like giving you energy. It's great for like maintaining a regular poop. It's great for vanquishing your enemies. You name it. Like we've had a great time marketing our coffee all over the world, and thanks to social media channels. And a lot of your viewers have probably seen my wife on social media. She is far more famous than I am, but we do all this together, and we have a great time producing content for our social media, and in addition to creating 20 varieties of coffee now and growing.
Yeah. So for those of you who watch the Tuesday at 7 show, you already know that we are really appreciative of your shares, right? Because when you share on Tuesday at 7, it goes out to your audience, and there's going to be folks that are going to be inspired, going to learn something from Andrew. They may be coffee lovers, they maybe just enjoy the content as I am, and just like and enjoy seeing what you produce. But if you share this video next Tuesday, we're going to draw a name, and the winner, whose ever name we draw next week, is going to get a. Well, what are you going to share it with us real quickly?
You will get the spoon. This is Mrs. Pedal Java's spoon. It features a 2-gram counterweight, a 15-degree blade, a very minimized paddle for effective digging and stirring, maybe even light muddling. This is Mrs. Pedal Java's spoon. You've seen her on TikTok. She has over 100,000 followers who watch her make coffee every day. And this is the spoon. We sell this on our website, Roger. Believe it or not, people buy the spoon because she uses it on her channel. And one of her catchphrases is stir, because you're not a lazy barista. You know this. You've seen. And so we'll give away the spoon and a sticker pack. We have all new stickers. We get new stickers all the time. And so we'll send you a sticker pack and the Mrs. Pedal Java spoon to the winner of the share contest next Tuesday.
And Mary, we already saw that you shared. Beth, my Mrs. Miller, my wife, said, "Don't be a lazy barista." So I know that that I view more of your content than the misses, and my wife is always watching the misses, and we're always got to comparing, who's doing what, and yeah.
One of the things we got to do this year more, and we talked about this, and we have actually a guy who helps us with social media. Mm-hmm. And he not only gives us advice, but he helps us online too. And I'll explain more of that. We haven't really dived into it online, how we do this. But he's advised us to duet each other more and to stitch each other more and to remix each other on Instagram Reels more, so that we are like connecting our two accounts together. One of the things that has been a great advantage to the way we do it is we do have 2 separate sets of eyeballs. And that's been a blessing, because her style is much more different than mine. And we do different things, and we have some crossover, but she has thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on her channels, and I have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on my channels, and we just cross them over as much as we can. Last night we did a challenge, right, Roger? My favorite band is going on tour, and I went on TikTok and I said, look, she said I could only go to one of the shows on the summer tour, but I want to go to at least 2, maybe 3. If I can sell 10 coffee orders over the next 24 hours, she'll let me go to more than one show. Roger, we sold like 30 orders in 2 hours. They just came like flying in out of nowhere. It was the greatest thing. Mostly because I get to go to multiple shows of the Dead and Company. People keep asking me, what band? Dead and Company. It's the Grateful Dead. I love the Grateful Dead. I'm an old Deadhead, Roger.
So I'll tell you what. So if you sold 3 times the expectation, right, does that mean 3 extra shows?
That's what it means to me. That's exactly the way I read that. I have to explain that to the accounting department. And she is my wife, and she's up in the warehouse training our new warehouse manager. So, yeah, we've got a new social media helper and a warehouse manager, and in addition to our 9 baristas who serve drinks for us at these events. So we're expanding in exciting ways. But our social media guy has been a blessing. Here's the way that one works, is we still create all the content. And he gives us ideas or points us to trends that are happening if he thinks we can take advantage of those. But we post the content when we want to.
Yeah.
And then once the content is posted, my man Ryan comes in there and he's like, I'll just respond to all the comments and the DMs for you. And he does all the work, and it's so awesome. He knows everything about the company. He's been in our little family for years, and I've always valued him as one of the most creative minds around in my inner circle. And so like that's the thing about creatives is like we have to like band together because like his area expertise is different than mine, and he's younger and smarter, and he has a job where he does this kind of stuff all the time. And it's like a church company he works for, but they do social media for all these churches and ministries all over the world. They've created a monster of a social media expert. So he takes care of all the back end for us. That has been an incredible blessing for us, getting that off our plate.
Gotcha.
And then the manager of the warehouse is packing orders and sticking our stickers and, taping up boxes and labeling stuff and getting it to the post office. All of this, every week. So this gives us more time to do what? Be creative. That's what she keeps telling me, the accounting department. Now you have more time to be creative. Now we have more time to make more videos and to come up with better ideas. And sometimes I feel like just broke of ideas. You know what I mean?
Right.
But sometimes, Roger, I feel like it's a bottomless well, too. You know that analogy? Mm-hmm. Like there's no bottom to it. I really think that's what creativity is. I think more or less it's a bottomless well. And you can get tired and you can get burnt out coming up with creative ideas, but there's always more in that well. There's always more right below that surface.
Yeah, so...
I got to sneeze. Does that happen a lot?
No, but God bless you along the way.
Thank you.
And while
I'm good.
Yeah, and while Andrew's recuperating from those 3 quick sneezes, if somebody would, maybe my Beth, go ahead and put out the website, and would that be pedaljava.com?
That's it. PEDALJAVA. And if you go, you'll see right up front. We are a coffee bicycle business. What? They are vintage industrial tricycles. They're big tricycles meant to carry big loads around factories and stuff like that. And we repurpose them and upcycle them and build little tiny coffee shops on the back. You have to see it to understand, but it's wild. And we find these vintage bicycles all over the country. They come from a company in New York. They started making industrial tricycles back when horse-drawn carriages were carrying cargo all around New York City. And so they started building them in the Ozone Park area of Jamaica, Queens. And these bicycles could carry up to 600 pounds. So we just build little coffee shops on the back of them. My wife and I have a fleet of these coffee bikes. So it's pedal, like a bicycle pedal, Java, pedaljava.com.
Gotcha. I see that Beth went ahead and attached it right here to our interview. Thank you, Beth. And so,
yes.
Yeah,
thank you, Beth.
Yeah, we're right on. So you find yourself shifting out of software. Mrs. Pedal Java shifts out of working for a large corporation, the 5th largest cell phone provider in the world. You guys find yourselves looking at each other's eyes and saying, let's do something different, right? And so it was coffee and creativity. And so, tell us how things came together and how you decided coffee and bikes and all those things.
Right. Well, we were in previous relationships, as a lot of people were. I was married for a very long time before, and I have 2 wonderful kids from that marriage, one of which works for us a lot at some big events. My wife had been in a lot of relationships, but when we met, man, the sparks flew. And we had started courting, and I moved to be closer to her. And the state of Tennessee was a lot more friendly to small businesses than the state of North Carolina. In fact, there was no state income tax at all. So I really like living here, and I love this girl a lot. And eventually, after dating for about a year, I popped the big question, and she said yes. And for a second, Roger, I thought I was off the hook. I thought I could relax. I had prepared to ask the woman of my dreams to marry me, and she said yes, and I thought I could chill out for a minute. but within days, she had me going to these bridal shows, like where you see the DJs and the wedding cake and all that stuff. And I had tied one on with the boys the night before, had a couple soda pops, and we had shown up to this bridal thing, and I was not feeling great, my man. And I said, she was trying to feed me barbecue at like 10 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday morning. And I said, look, if there was one of these wedding vendors that did like coffee or something, I would be down for that. In fact, that might be something good to have at our wedding for people who don't drink booze. And we looked around, there was nothing like that. And we asked a bunch of caterers, and they said, no, we don't have anything like that. And so we decided that after we got married, we would start a very small coffee business. In fact, we call it a micro cafe. It's just that tiny little coffee bike. It can serve up to about 100 people an hour. And then we like to put them together with multiple coffee bikes. And then we started hiring people. Now we've got a fleet of these things, 8 coffee bikes at a warehouse, and 9 baristas total, including myself. And we serve events from Atlanta, Georgia, up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Every year we travel on sort of a circuit because these events repeat every year. Some of them are sports tournaments. Some of them are like conventions. We do a lot of Comic-Cons every year. If you know what that is, we do like 12 to 15 Comic-Cons a year. And so you'll find Pedal Java coffee at like unusual places, but it's always crowds of people who need caffeine and prefer it in the form of coffee, like I do, like you do, like the lovely Beth does. All of these people love coffee. So, and you've had our coffee before, and I know you liked it. You told me you loved it. So we started roasting coffee for our own use at our events not long after that. And we just sort of expanded that over time. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had 5 varieties of coffee that we produced for our event services. And over the, panorama, we expanded that to now 20 varieties of coffee. And we expanded our online store to sell all the syrups and sauces and flavors, even things like this wonderful spoon, like you can win for sharing this podcast on Facebook. And we just my wife had this incredible idea of starting a YouTube cooking show over the pan pizza. And it was great. I got microphones and lights, and we just set up our little coffee bikes in our warehouse, right? We threw up some posters on the wall behind us, and my wife is so charming and endearing, and she's so Southern, and hey, y'all, we're going to teach you how to make these coffees, and you can buy all the ingredients on our website, you know what I mean? And through the magic of TikTok, she blew up, my man. And at first it was 10,000 people, and so many of them were buying coffee. And we started shipping it out all over the country. And then it was 25,000 followers and more orders, and then 50,000 followers and more orders. And now she's well over 100,000 followers just on TikTok that make her watch her make coffee every day. And we sell the ingredients and the supplies on our site. And that has been incredible for us. And, we do it on other social media networks too. We do it on Facebook. We do it on Instagram. We've got live broadcasts happening on all of those channels on a regular basis too. And the original YouTube idea, that was a flop. Nobody watched that at all. But the TikTok one took off. So that's what we stuck with. You can still go back and watch the old shows on YouTube. It was called Cream and Sugar. And Roger, that shit was, I'm sorry for the language. That show was hilarious. It was great. It was both of us. It was jokes, guests, recipes, funny stories, celebrity interactions. It had everything, but nobody watched it. So
Well, I'll tell
No,
you.
we did TikTok instead.
Yeah,
That's
so-
where people. That's where the eyeballs were.
Yeah, yeah, and that's ironic. So you launch a business that was very dependent upon these in-person events, right? And then all of a sudden everything shuts down. You guys have a bunch of bikes. You've got a bunch of folks and a lot of creativity. And then you're like, okay, so what do we do during COVID? We can't stir, right? We can't serve fancy coffees with a smile. So COVID hits. Is that was that
The first thing it did was it destroyed our business.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I don't want to there are so many stories of small businesses dying over the pandemic. And in fact, literally I heard 6 out of 10 small businesses went out of business over the whole pandemic. And that's horrible. And I don't want to, make our tragedy seem worse than anyone else's. But, the first couple of months we're crying ourselves to sleep at night, not knowing exactly how we were going to do it. Immediately we took, the way that pandemic happened is on March 18th, we were driving up to a cheerleading competition. And it was maybe 40 miles away from us. So we had packed all the vans with milk, whipped cream, coffee, a lot of perishable stuff, and then cups and flavors and sauces and syrups and everything, including all these coffee bikes to go set up at this cheerleading tournament. And when we got there, they turned us around on the loading dock just like this. It was canceled because of that virus thing. What? The virus thing? That thing I heard about? They canceled it because of that? Yep. We'll call you. Maybe next week things will be back to normal. Maybe 2 weeks from now. And so we left thinking immediately we have this perishable stuff we got to package up and get rid of in some kind of way. And so the first thing we did was create we called it the coffee quarantine kit. And it had the coffee, the cold brew, the flavors, the sauces, the travel mug, the milk, everything you needed dropped off on your porch, no contact, just pay for it through the website, free local delivery. And so we split all those perishable items up into a product that we could sell immediately. And, around that time it was, Joe Exotic was going on. And I did some videos as Joe Exotic. I know you can't picture it, but you'll have to scroll back a long time. But I had a mullet wig and a hat, and we made some hilarious videos, a bunch of music videos from the 80s, selling coffee. That's all we were doing is hawking coffee. And my wife's great recipe channel, mine is a lot more lowbrow humor on my channels than on hers. And that's the way a good marriage works, is you have a sort of a careful one, like a cautious one, and then you have one that's sort of throw caution to the wind. That's our relationship. I'm in the latter. I think you probably are too, because Beth seems like unrelatably put together to me. I don't get that kind of put together. My wife's the same way. So we put these packages together. We put these products together in a way that we could sell them online, and depended on the power of social media to help propel those sales and get those in front of people. And we were really lucky that it was at a time where people were stuck at home watching their phones and their iPads, and they were looking for ways to be entertained because they had already watched their whole Netflix feed in 48 hours. So then they had to turn to TikTok and social media. And we were there waiting for them, and we just doing crazy shenanigans and recipes and playing music and singing bad and you name it. And that's how I met you. You drew me. And it was such a great, Roger, it hangs in a place of honor in our office in the warehouse. Is absolutely my favorite fan art I've ever gotten. And I hope my other fan artists don't see this because I have gotten some very cringy fan art, my man, if you know what I mean.
Well,
full of like typos and everything.
oh
Like,
my goodness.
ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But I love it all. It just means that people think of us, and some of them do not look like me. In fact, yours, my favorite, doesn't look like me at all. It's just crazy, like me on a mushroom hallucination is what it looks like. But I love it.
I'm glad that you love that. So tell us. So you get turned around. You're like, we got to get rid of all this perishable stuff fast. We don't know what the next week or month or whatever is going to look like. You turn to social media, right? Was that the time you were working on the YouTube show, or had you already pivoted over to TikTok? And tell me why TikTok.
Yeah, in fact, that was the start of the YouTube show, and that was one of the initial ideas we had for surviving this panini, however long it was going to last. And so, and none of us knew how long that was going to last. So we just said, okay, YouTube, all in on YouTube. And we did 9 episodes that you can still find on Pedal Java on YouTube. Cream and Sugar was the show. Genius stuff. It was good, but nobody watched. Every week we got 100 viewers or less, and we couldn't figure out what we were doing wrong. And so in the meantime, my wife found the app TikTok and had started consuming content on her own, watching creators like you and other people who were hilarious on TikTok. And she had the idea of like, could we do a recipe in 60 seconds or less? And this is back when people would watch a full 60-second video on TikTok, and they don't anymore. But back in the old days, they did. They would watch full 60-second videos from beginning to end, and they would comment on them, and they would like them and share them. It was a great time, and her account grew exponentially. And then I came to the party after that, and I said, look, I'm not going to do recipes. That's your game. I'm not going to make coffee drinks. That's your game. But I feel like I need to do something to help this business so it's not all on you. And what can I do that is funny or interesting or trending? And I saw a video of some girl in Los Angeles roller skating, looking super cool, and her like bell-bottom jeans and her macrame top, and in a way, like having grown up in the roller rink, I was like, that's kind of silly, and I wanted to make fun of her a little bit, send her up, and in a not a rude way. So I made a video. I dug my old skates out from the basement of my dad's house, and I cleaned up the wheels. I put new bearings in, and a friend of mine filmed me trying to like mimic her style, but as a dude in Tennessee. And now I wasn't wearing like women's clothes, but like I was trying to skate in that style that she was. And I put it side by side with her, and I thought it was hilarious. But Roger, that video blew up, like, hundreds of thousands of views later. Now I got to do roller skating on TikTok like every week, at least once a week. And it's one of those things when you do something and you become known for it, and then people start to expect it from you every week, and you don't really want to do it. I also play drums on TikTok. I'm a great drummer, and I tell jokes, and I do the skits and the funny stuff, and my wife's stuff is a little more serious than mine, but she has a great sense of humor, and you'll see her pop up on my channel a lot, being a fool with me. And she's sweet to agree to be a fool with me on TikTok. But it was just where the people were gathered, like we had good followings on Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok was just the new flavor. And there was something about the editing tools, the video editing tools, that I really enjoyed. Like when I first got on the TikTok, my wife was already having some success. But I was delivering coffee around to the local houses, and I was listening to old 80s pop music on the radio. And Bananarama came on, Cruel Summer. And it was like March, and it was getting warm. It was like a year ago, and I thought, man, this is going to be a cruel summer. We should do that as a music video. My wife and I should dress like Bananarama. We should like use the TikTok to lip sync and kind of recreate the video like we were in the 80s. And we did that, and it was, I didn't even really treat TikTok that seriously. Instead, I posted that video to Instagram and to Facebook. And those TikTok videos were just used as a tool to create video content that were music videos from the 1980s. And then we did some from the 90s, and we did a whole series of these music videos, and they were hilarious, and people loved them. But they got us into their, it used to be in our parents' day, they'd say, we got to get your product into America's living room. Do you remember that, Roger? Into your living room. How? This giant television set that's in the living room, we're going to put your product in their living room. Well, now, Roger, I put our product in their bathroom. I put it in their kitchen. I put it in their bed, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying, we have the ability to communicate with these people 24/7. And so whenever they pick up their phone, whenever they open TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, we want to just be there with something to say, hey, remember us, da-da-da, we sing, we dance, we make coffee. And so far that's worked, mostly because my wife is super cute and people put up with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is about the coffee, and
it's great coffee.
And it is about the content. So tell us a little bit about your brand as we kind of wrap things, as we kind of, coming over the hill and rounding third. Tell us about like your brand. I mean, you guys are, the missus, I mean, I want to watch her cooking show, right? And I was watching her camp cooking, and I'm like, I get it. And I watched, I think, a 60-second video a few times of hers. Right. You're dapper, right? And you're skating and you're doing this thing, but there's this vintage, cool, vibey stuff going. So it is about nostalgic. The coffee. Yeah, it is about the coffee, and it's about the content. So tell me the direction behind the content, kind of the thoughts behind that, and what that goes from concept to delivery.
Yeah, the original branding just came from a cocktail napkin, like a lot of businesses did. And we were drawing ideas for logos. The original name that we wanted for the company that I wanted was Handlebar Coffee, because it was a bicycle-based coffee, yeah. And in the logo, I had this little dude wearing the handlebar mustache and the little pork pie hat, and it had a little nostalgic vibe to it. But Roger, back then I was clean shaven. I didn't have any facial hair at all. I wasn't like you. I didn't wear a beard my whole life. I just was shaved guy. And I had this baby face too. And so over the years, I sort of evolved it more and more into that logo. Like I wear the mustache now, and I don't wear hats that often, but I've become the logo of the Pedal Java brand. And it just started as we wanted Handlebar Coffee. That name was already taken by another company in Texas. And they run a coffee shop inside a bicycle shop. So I get it. Handlebar Coffee is a great name. So we just Googled names that were available, .coms that were available. And you could see Pedal Java is like the same thing. It's just different words, basically. So we became Pedal Java. And from that point on, it was just like a bicycle-themed, sort of nostalgic brand. Like you would see like the Ice Cream Man back in our day, like when we were kids. Mm-hmm. In fact, the same company that makes our coffee bikes makes those Good Humor ice cream bikes that were very popular in the 50s and 60s too. So, it has a little bit of that nostalgia to it. And we always say that we are vintage style, not vintage values. We have to make that distinction, because when people see our style, they think, oh, that's a little bit like the 1950s. Oh, that was a pretty ugly time. Yeah, that was not the kind of values we like to remember in America. Well, we have that style, but we don't have the values. That's the way we describe it to people. And we embrace everybody and love everybody. And we're from right around the corner from the home place of Dolly Parton. And we're a lot like her in a lot of ways. Everybody's welcome at our coffee party.
Well, I do remember one of your videos out on TikTok, and you're like, if there's something you need, if you have to determine whether somebody's a good person, one question, yeah. Right? That question is going to be, how do you feel about Dolly Parton? And so why is that your question?
Well, I mean, around here in East Tennessee, people love Dolly to the point of like treating her like a saint. Like she is divine in a way, she can do no wrong. But because of her opinions, because of the things that she said and the causes that she supported, a lot of people who are on, the other side think that she's not that good a person and really they don't like Dolly. And if you've grown up around here, you're from, this area, you've seen the impact she's had, not just on jobs, but helping literacy among children. She hosts a literacy program in Tennessee called Imagination Library. It sends books to children for free all over the country. She has this Dollywood theme park up here, employing anyone. She doesn't, all colors, all races, all beliefs, all genders, all everybody. She's a very inclusive person. And there are some people who don't like her for being such an open and inclusive angel. And they are wrong. She is right. Dolly is the patron saint of East Tennessee. In fact, my wife has that on the shirt. Patron saint of East Tennessee. If you're really from here and you're a good person, you like Dolly Parton.
Hey, I think somewhere along the way when I was watching some of your wife's content out on TikTok, she said that she kind of has the vibe of a 1950s housewife that talks back. If that's so if that is a way that she might describe her, and we know that she is hardworking and training some of your newer staff, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, well, obviously I'm a very tolerant man to be married to such a personality. Man, I tell you what, I love everybody. I give everybody a chance. Everybody's welcome. Everybody is cool with me. But I'm also like the type of personality that is guarded towards people who have wronged me in the past. So, I'm not vengeful. I'm not vindictive, but I'm very, very guarded with our business. And having started this 6 years ago and now having survived a year of containment that killed so many businesses, I'm very cautious. I'm very careful. And the moves we make are based on a lot of careful consideration, in spite of seeming like idiots online and really like entertaining people with the silliest of shenanigans. Behind closed doors, we're very shrewd with our business, and we have a really good plan for how to turn this creativity into a retirement plan, if you know what I mean, like a way that we can escape this caffeine and chaos and turn it into a big pile of money that we can enjoy the rest of our lives really like carefree. So like a lot of things in life, you get what you put into it. And we both started this career, this coffee career, late in our lives. It was a second career for both of us. So we're very cautious, we're careful, but online, we know that these posts, if in good taste, last at most 24 hours long. So we just try to keep the ideas flowing, keep dipping into that bottomless well of creativity, keep supporting each other and the other creative people in our lives in a way that, helps build karma, creative karma in our community, whether that means using local artists to design our labels, whether that means using local musical talent when we need original music, or using local, milk providers, dairy farms for our coffee business. All of these things support us by supporting people around us. So as cheesy as that sounds, man, like the creative community's got to stick together, and that's our main goal for the rest of this year is to continue to do that, and our little business will build on its own.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you like coffee, then you're going to love Pedal Java. But if you just like good, entertaining content, and then I assure you, you're going to love Pedal Java. So go ahead and if you're not on TikTok, you should be. I mean, just really, you should be. And if you go out on TikTok at Pedal Java, is your moniker there. And
that's my spot.
Mrs. Pedal Java, what is hers?
Yeah, it's the same one, at MRS Pedal Java, at Mrs. Pedal Java. So Pedal Java and Mrs. Pedal Java. And you know what, man? It's the same on Instagram as well, Pedal Java and Mrs. Pedal Java. And we've managed 2 different accounts from the very beginning of this mess. And it's something that at first we were like, wait, shouldn't we combine these together into one account? And then we started thinking, you know what? This one's got 6,000 followers. This one's got 15,000 followers. Her TikTok has over 100,000 followers. We just have different sets of eyeballs on every one of these accounts. And there's some overlap. There's some people who watch our content on Facebook and Instagram. There's some people who watch it on TikTok and Facebook. There's some people who only watch it on Facebook. And that's the wildest thing is these eyeballs are coming from different directions. And so we managed both accounts on all the social networks, Pedal Java and Mrs. Pedal Java, MRS Pedal Java. And find us there. And they're both different. So you don't see repeats of content on both of them. We're both producing original stuff. I think is hilarious and beautiful and interesting and informative every day. So watch. I mean, mine today was that thing with the James Bond and the spoon, which I thought that joke was hilarious. But Roger, I had this spoon. You may not have seen it. It's like a butterfly knife.
I saw it.
But it's a spoon. And I learned how just enough to look like I kind of know what I'm doing. But the joke is like at the end, it's a spoon, not a knife. So I like my coffee stirred, not shaken. Stirred, not I thought that joke was hilarious. But you know how TikTok is. It's a fickle audience there. And it hasn't quite yet taken off. But that's all right.
I watched
Tonight,
it thrice.
I'll come up with a better joke.
I watched it thrice. I loved it. I even loved the fact that you lit up a cigarette, and I mean the whole vibe. I mean, I was feeling.
I'm still wearing my tuxedo from trying to look like Bonds, but yeah. So that's the idea. You come up with better jokes tonight or tomorrow morning, and while you're drinking your coffee, you think of something hilarious you can do on TikTok, or you watch good creative people like Roger creates, and you like steal ideas from them.
I'll tell you what.
I did that.
Yeah,
I did that. I stole ideas from you.
And we are happy not only that you chose to put on some skates, right, and skate down the street, because I enjoy your skate videos, and I'll say too that your transparency, the fact that you will post a skate fall, is something. I mean, there's something about somebody who's gonna be like, you just get to see who Andrew is, and if I fall today, you might see that posted as well.
That's true. Yeah, I do risk life and limb. And we are small business owners, which means we don't have great health insurance. It's just a fact of small business in America. So I'm risking a very high deductible every time I strap those wheels to my feet. So all I ask is that y'all give it a look, give it a like, give it a share. And if you like coffee, go to the website, pedaljava.com, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have some kind of coffee you'll like. 20 varieties. We got to have something you'll like.
We appreciate you sharing your story, your journey, some secrets along the way. We appreciate your time, and we know that folks are going to not only watch us in the future, but they're going to watch it this week and share it too so they can get that stirring spoon. Thank you to you and to the Mrs. Pedal Java as well. Tell her we missed her.
I will, Roger. And it was a delight. Thank you for having me on. always good to see your smiling face. So thank you for having me.
Good to see you too. All right. Take care.